On this episode of the Whiskey Tornado, we review Barrell Craft Spirits Amburana Finished Bourbon. According to Barrell Craft Spirits, Amburana casks are challenging to work with as they impart strong cinnamon, nutmeg, clove, and vanilla spice notes. True blending expertise is required to enhance the bourbon with Amburana and maintain balance. The blending team created a bourbon blend of 2 mash bills with different char levels finished in Amburana casks. Only 14,400 bottles produced, and it has an age statement of 5 years and comes in at a proof of 116.42 with a price tag of $84.99. All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, Lance. We are going to continue on our new scoring system here. We're going to talk about the nose, palate, finish, a little bit about value. But instead of giving everything a point total, I'm just going to tell beginners, intermediates, and bourbon aficionados whether it's a buy or pass. And then I'm going to tell you whether I think you should bunker some extra ones just in case that bourbon you love may not be produced any longer. So with all that being said, let's get a pour of Barrell Craft Spirits Amburana finish. So just to be forthcoming with you guys, I typically do not like Amburana finished bourbons. It comes off very artificial to me. It gives a note that brings me back to my childhood that my uncle kind of turned me on to, where if things are too heavily finished in Amburana wood, it smells like horsefly spray. And since he's turned me on to that note, I cannot get it out of my head. So, Starlight, Amburana is the big thing, right? Everyone is finishing stuff in Amburana. Starlight Distillery out of Indiana, kind of really kick things off with their cigar blends. Those I'm not crazy about, and I realize I'm in the minority on this. But those first, second, third fill Amburana barrels from Starlight are just too much for me. It's got to be fourth fill before I start enjoying it. Now, Barrell Craft Spirits, if you saw in the B-roll, if you listened, I really liked what they had to say on the back of their bottle, talking about letting the bourbon shine and not the Amburana, because I believe you have to be extremely careful with this stuff. There's very few Amburana finished bourbons that I actually enjoy. One I did have this past weekend was RD1. As far as Amburana finish, it's not something I'm going to reach for all the time. I'd have to be in the mood for it, but that one I could do. So I'm interested to get into this. This is halfway down because this was given to me by a rep at our yearly whiskey festival. So really interested to get into this. Again, it's 5-year age statement. Only Kentucky and Indiana bourbon blended into this, so no Tennessee, which is unusual for Barrell Craft Spirits. But let's get into the nose on this one. So I got a little bit of nuttiness there, and kind of in a and not in a familiar way. If you swirl this around, what's nice is the Amburana didn't pop out and punch me in the face like I get on some Nulus, some Starlights. I actually got nuttiness first on the nose, which makes me excited about this. Now, swirl it around, get deeper into the glass. You can start picking up on those Amburana notes. But this isn't coming off like in a medicinal way, like that horsefly spray. This is coming off more like iced cinnamon roll, little bit of clove. So I'm very encouraged by that. It's not punching me in the face. I'm searching for it, not that much, but I'm searching for it, which is nice because I think Amburana, you have to be very careful. So the nose I really like so far. Let's get into the palate. Cheers, everybody. There's that Amburana. Now, it's tamed down for me, which is nice. I can actually sit down and drink this. There's some Amburana finishes I just cannot even get through. This is one of the better Amburana finished bourbons that I've had. It's sweet. That Amburana is there, that cinnamon roll, a little bit of that horsefly spray is there, but that may just be my palate. Again, I am certainly in the minority of people who don't like Amburana finish because it is all the rage and people are loving it. But I will say there is aspects of this where Barrell Craft Spirits did a good job of still letting the bourbon shine. But it's really hard to let the bourbon shine when you finish anything in Amburana. It's just gonna take over. But this is the best I've had. So take that for what it's worth. Let's talk about the finish here. The finish is nice. It's got a good balance of sweetness and kind of that that rye spice you get on or spice you get on jalapenos. That's tingling my tongue a little bit on the finish. Amburana is always going to finish a really long time because the notes are so heavy from that Brazilian wood. As far as value goes, at $84.99, I guess that's in line. Would I pay that? I wouldn't, just because I don't like Amburana. But if you're somebody who loves Amburana, I would really suggest trying this. It's a good balance. They did a really good job blending it. As far as our scoring system goes, let's talk about whether this is a buy or pass for beginners, intermediates, or aficionados. If you're a beginner, I'm gonna say this is a pass. Number one, it's 116 proof, so it's a little high for you when you're probably more comfortable around that 90 to 100 proof range. Also, there's some strong flavors in this as far as the Amburana goes. Even though Barrell did a great job of tamping it down, still strong flavors. If I were a beginner and you're wanting to dip your toes into Amburana, I would find RD1. That does a really good job. That bottle tastes like cinnamon apples. It's really good. The Amburana is just lightly, probably even less than this, Barrell Craft Spirits. And I think the proof's lower. I might be wrong about that. Either way, I think it's a little bit less of an Amburana finish, and it's a good place to start dipping your toes in. Now, if you're an intermediate or bourbon aficionado, would I recommend buying this? Only if you like Amburana finished whiskey. While it's certainly tamped down, those Amburana notes are still there. This will be a good bottle to share with people who've never had Amburana that come over. It's a good starting place to start dipping your toes into Amburana finished stuff. And it's not like some of the Starlights or Nulus that really punch you in the face with Amburana and it just tastes like cinnamon cat piss. But as far as Barrell Craft Spirits goes, they are such good blenders and I really trust them. So I knew that this was going to be, even for a flavor profile I'm not fond of, I knew they were going to do a great job with it, and they did. If you're somebody that likes Amburana finished for $84.99, I would certainly pick it up. Otherwise, as with all Amburana finished, I would stay away. Now, here's where things get a little weird with this review. I always tell you guys whether I would bunker some. And while I'm not crazy about this bottle, if you love Amburana finished whiskeys, I definitely would bunker some of these. It's the best Amburana finished whiskey I've had to date. I think it's really good, and I would love to stash a couple of those away if I was a big Amburana fan, because it does let the bourbon shine a little bit, but still has some of those Amburana flavors that you guys love. All right, guys, I hope that helps you decide whether to buy or pass on this bottle. What do you guys think about this new scoring system? Are you a fan of it, or do you want me to go back to the old way where I rate every category, between 0 and 1? It takes a lot of fluff out of the videos, and it addresses a lot of things I think us bourbon reviewers miss. We all are rating bourbons based on our own bourbon journey, where we're at. And oftentimes we don't address people at different points in their bourbon journey. And I think this is a little bit better way of doing that. So if you like the video, please like, comment, subscribe. If you want to help support the channel, you can help us at Patreon for as little as $2 a month. It helps pay for all this camera equipment, the lighting, the bourbon, all those kinds of things. It's a huge help to our channel. Links are in the description below. If you're looking for a bottle pick club where I help select the bottles and the barrels, we do have a charity organization called Barrels for Hope. You can join that for as little as $5 a month. All those links are in the description below. All right, guys, thank you so much for the support. We love you guys very much, and we will see you on the next review.